Hey everyone, welcome back to the Teaching Success Podcast. This is episode number 5, titled Fear of Success and Self-Sabotage. Now, in the last episode, we talked about the subconscious mind. We talked about the power of the subconscious mind and the influence the subconscious mind has on who you are as a person, on your future self, on your success, on everything about you, how it's all determined by the subconscious mind. So if you haven't watched that episode, make sure to head back over and listen to that one before carrying on with episode number 5. Okay, so like we talked about, the subconscious mind is wired for really two main things, and that is pattern recognition and survival. And when I say survival, what I mean is it's wired to look for things that we're afraid of. So we're almost wired to be afraid. And the reason for that is going back to prehistoric days, it was scary to leave the cave. Anything out of the cave was dangerous. You could have got eaten by a lion. You could have got attacked by a different tribe. So staying somewhere where you know, somewhere where it's safe, keeps you it keeps you alive. It keeps you safe. So that's what we're wired for, is the pattern recognition and survival. So anything that is new to us is scary. And it's scary because it could affect our survival. Now, again, in modern days, this might sound silly. It doesn't really apply, but you got to remember that our brain evolved millions of years ago. And when we're talking about the subconscious mind, that's one of the oldest parts of the brain. It's wired for prehistoric life. It's not meant for modern day life. So a lot of the things our body, our brain, our subconscious mind does is counterintuitive to what you think would help you, but it makes sense from a survival standpoint living back in those days. Now, again, in modern days, it's not really beneficial, but understanding how the brain works, you can overcome this stuff and change it to actually work in your favor. But so anything that is new, that is different from what we're currently around, our brain perceives as scary. It perceives it as a potential threat to our survival. I'm sure you've heard before choose the devil you know, not the one you don't. And it's absolutely true. What people mean there is, even if you're in a bad situation, even if things are terrible, so wherever you are in life right now, if you're overweight, you're poor, you're in a bad relationship, whatever the situation is that you're trying to fix, even though it's bad, it's a situation that you currently know. It's a situation that you're still alive in. So your brain, even though it's a bad situation, sees that you're still living. And again, there's 3 main things really that our body craves. That's survival, food, and procreation. So as long as we're meeting those, as long as we're alive and we're eating, our brain is going to try and do what it can to keep us in that situation. Again, even if it's counterproductive, even if it's not the best for us, because it's what we know. It's what our brain knows. When we're looking at patterns, even though it's a bad pattern, your brain recognizes what that pattern is, so it doesn't want to change it. Because anything that's new, even though it could be beneficial, your brain doesn't understand, or it doesn't know the outcome for sure. It could be something good for you. It could also be something that leads to your death, that doesn't help your survival. Your brain doesn't have the stories, the beliefs, the patterns for whatever this new thing is. Because again, going back to learning how the subconscious mind works, our mind works off of the previous stories, beliefs, and patterns that we have. So if it's something that we don't have these things for, your brain is going to be scared. You are going to be scared because you don't know how to react in that new situation. Now, unfortunately, if you want success in any area of life, something that you don't currently have, you are going to have to change. Because if you didn't have to change, you would already have those things in your life right now. So if you want something different, you're going to have to do something different. You're going to have to change as a person. And when you change, that means you're going to have to change your stories, your beliefs, and your patterns. But like we said, your brain doesn't have those pre-programmed. It doesn't have any context to go by. So it sees anything new, anything as a change, as something that you should be scared of. That's why logically you can think, okay, I'm going to get this new job. It's going to give me a pay raise. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to help me achieve my goals. But you're feeling scared. You're feeling like maybe this isn't a good idea. You start questioning everything. The reason for that is because your subconscious mind is playing on that fear, on that survival mode, because it doesn't have those patterns. So even though it's something that could be beneficial, your brain doesn't know how to react. What you want is that comfort and the familiarity because you already know what it is. You know what the outcome is going to be, and that outcome hasn't killed you yet. And again, that's what your brain is looking for, is just for survival. So consciously, you know that this is something that is good for you, but subconsciously, your mind is fighting you. And you get in this fight between your conscious and your subconscious mind where you're conscious, you're thinking about it logically, saying, I need to do this. I know I need to do this. I know this is going to help. This is going to change my life. But your subconscious here is scared. It's saying, don't do it. It's different. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know the outcome. It's possible you could die. It's possible bad things are going to happen. And you're going to start getting these negative feelings, these feelings of being scared, of just doubt, of all of these negative things, even though logically it makes sense that you would do those things. So again, your brain kind of gets into this battle. And that's where we get this fear of success and this self-sabotage. It can start as fear of success, just like that. You know it's something that's good for you, but you start getting these feelings. You start doubting it. You start questioning yourself, thinking, is this a good idea? What if this happens? What if this doesn't work out? And you go down this rabbit hole of all of these negative thoughts, of all of these bad things. It's that fear of success. And a lot of times you may not even be consciously aware of it. Consciously, you're thinking, again, you need to do this. You know this is going to be beneficial. This is going to help you achieve your goals. But your subconscious mind is fighting you. And sometimes you don't have that internal battle, but your subconscious mind is still fighting you, even if you don't realize that it is. And that's how we get to self-sabotage. A lot of times you'll start taking actions that are detrimental, actions that actually hinder your progress, that go against everything you're trying to do. And a lot of times you don't realize that you're actually doing it, and you don't realize why you're doing it until after it happens. And a lot of people, unless you're aware of it, don't even realize it's self-sabotage. They just think, see, that just proves that whatever I did, that was a bad idea because I tried and I failed. But in reality, it's your subconscious mind fighting you and making you take different outcomes, things that are detrimental, again, to try and preserve itself, because it's trying to go back to those safe habits, to those safe stories, beliefs, and patterns that it has, because it knows the outcome there. And if it's something new, it doesn't know the outcome. It doesn't know if it can guarantee that you're going to be safe. So it's going to try and fight you. Now, we didn't talk about this in the last episode, but new research actually shows that your subconscious mind makes decisions before your conscious mind is even aware of it. So let's say you're sitting down and I give you two options, options A and options B. You can choose whichever one you want. You're completely free to choose. You'll sit there and you'll start thinking, usually, which one do I want? Do I want A? Do I want B? What are the pros or the cons? And usually people make a decision in, a few seconds. But it turns out while you're thinking that, while you're making those conscious choices, while you're thinking it through, your subconscious mind has actually made the decision for you. I believe it's somewhere around 3 or 4 seconds prior to you actually making the decision. This just shows you the power of the subconscious mind. When you think that you are consciously making a decision, that you are in full control, that you're making a choice between A and B, you think you're thinking it through. It turns out your subconscious mind actually makes that decision. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, does that mean that there's no free will? Does that mean that you can't change? No, it turns out that you actually can change in the last half a second. Your conscious mind can override your subconscious. So it is possible. You're not fixed to this There still is free will. You're not destined to whatever, but it does show you the power of the subconscious mind, because the majority of the time it is in control. It is making these decisions. And again, it's making these decisions based off previous stories, beliefs, and patterns. So again, coming back to choosing between A and B, you may be thinking about it logically, but your subconscious mind is going back to everything it's ever absorbed to determine whether A or B is a better choice for you. And it can be going back to things that you don't remember, things that you were a kid, you were growing up as a teenager, that someone said to you randomly passing by. All of these things, they're stored in your subconscious mind, and that affects your decision. And again, you're probably not aware of it consciously. But so you can make that switch in the last second. But again, the point of this story is to show you just how powerful your subconscious mind really is. And the problem is, if you want to change, like we've already established, if you want something different, you want a different outcome, you want a different life, you're going to have to change. You have to change something. And in order to change that, you're going to have to fight your subconscious mind. It is going to be painful. You're going to have to go out of your comfort zone. You're going to have to do things that you don't necessarily want to do, things that you're not used to, that you've never done before. And your subconscious mind is going to fight you extremely hard on it, because again, it doesn't have those stories. It doesn't have those beliefs. It doesn't have those patterns to go by. And again, its only goal is to keep you alive. So from its perspective, it makes complete sense. But from a logical perspective, obviously it doesn't, because your subconscious mind is fighting you over things you know are going to help. So a lot of times when we're in the process of changing, when we're starting something new, when we're doing anything different, we run into this fear of success and self-sabotage. Now, again, a lot of times people may not be even aware of it. Let's say you start a new routine and you start going to the gym. You go, obviously working out the first couple times, it's going to hurt. Like your muscles are going to be extremely sore. It's something you're not used to. You may say, oh, see, my muscles are hurting too much. I did something wrong. I injured myself. I shouldn't go back to the gym. Or it takes too much time. It's not worth it. Now I'm taking time away from my family, from my friends, from whatever it is. But you start talking about all these different stories. You think logically that those are all true, that they are valid. And it's possible that sometimes those are valid stories, but the majority of the time, anything that you're telling yourself, anything that you're feeling when you're going through these changes, if it's negative stuff, most likely it's this fear of success and it's this self-sabotage that's coming up. So what do you actually have to do to change yourself, to be successful if you're fighting your subconscious mind and you're fighting through this fear of success and the self-sabotage? That's stuff we're going to get to in future episodes, but really it's simple. We're going to have to go back. We're going to have to rewrite our stories, our beliefs, and our patterns. And that's stuff we're going to do in future episodes. So what I want you to do, and what's going to be this week's homework, is to simply identify if you're going through self-sabotage and if you have fear of success. So what I want you to do is spend a couple of moments just going over your goals, going over what it is you're trying to achieve. Maybe grab a pen and paper. It's sometimes a little bit easier to write this stuff out, but you can even just think about it, and that's fine for now. But look at your past actions. Determine if whatever you were saying was true or if you were actually self-sabotaging. Because whatever your goal is, I can almost guarantee that this is not the first time you're trying to achieve that goal. You've probably done it numerous times. If you're trying to quit smoking, if you're trying to go to the gym, if you're trying to become wealthy, chances are this is not your first time. Chances are you've probably done this over and over again. And if that is true, if you've done this multiple times, this is not your first attempt, most likely it's somewhere along the line, it's fear of success or self-sabotage. Because if it wasn't, well, you would have done it the first time. So there's something holding you back, something that you need to be aware of. So just, again, think about your goals. Think about what you've done in the past. Just really sit, think, and see how you feel. Do you feel scared? Do you feel anxious? Do you feel nervous? Do you have any of these negative emotions associated with your goals. And then go back and think about what your actions, like what actions you actually took in the past, or what actions you were planning to do, but maybe never actually did. Think about, do they actually make sense? Or was it your subconscious mind just self-sabotaging you for some reason? And that's it for this week's episode. Just think about that. But like I said, almost guaranteed, if this is not your first time trying to achieve a goal, most likely there's something there in the subconscious mind that's holding you back. So think about it, and let's find out what you're self-sabotaging with, why you have that fear of success. And then once we do that, we'll learn how to actually change your stories, beliefs, and patterns in future episodes so that you can achieve your goals without fighting your subconscious mind.